For years, I have watched people come through my door, and there is one thing I can predict about a person's future before they ever open their mouth. I can tell just by watching them rise from the waiting room chair. Some push straight up, effortless, upright, done in a second. Others rock forward 2 or 3 times, brace on the armrest, and grunt their way to standing. Here's what surprises most people. Your heart isn't usually the first thing to slow you down after 60. Your legs are. And once those muscles stop doing their job, the rest of your body has to compensate. Why? Because your legs and hip muscles don't decline in a slow, gentle curve. They decline every single day, in small, invisible increments, until one day the curve catches up with you all at once, usually in the form of a fall, a hospital stay, or a permanent loss of independence. This isn't fear-mongering, it's physiology, and it's completely reversible, starting today from a chair in your own living room. Let's talk about why your hip muscles matter so much, because this is the piece almost nobody explains properly. Your glutes are the largest muscles in your body. They help you stand, climb stairs, recover from a stumble, and stay balanced. When they become weak, your body finds other ways to compensate, and that's when many knee and back problems begin. Quick question: when you stand up from your favorite chair, do you naturally push off the armrests? If you do, don't worry, you're not alone. But it's one of the earliest signs that these muscles need attention. Here's the part that should genuinely concern you. The hip muscles and the large muscles of the thigh are among the first to weaken with age, and they weaken faster than almost any other muscle group in the lower body, largely because modern life keeps us sitting instead of demanding that these muscles fire. Every hour spent in a seat without ever engaging them is an hour spent teaching your nervous system that it doesn't need them, and your nervous system listens. It's efficient to a fault. If a muscle isn't asked to produce force, the body stops maintaining the neural connections that generate that force in the first place. Weak hip muscles don't just make you slower, they change how your entire frame moves. That's the real problem. You have likely felt the early signs already, even if you didn't recognize them for what they were. That small hesitation before standing up from the couch, the need to use both armrests instead of one, the feeling that your favorite walking route has somehow gotten hillier, even though nothing about the terrain has changed. These aren't signs that you're simply getting older. They're specific, measurable signs that your lower body is losing the battle against gravity, and every day you wait to intervene, the gap widens a little further. Now, I know what many of you have already been told: just walk more. Walking is excellent for your heart and overall health, but by itself, it usually doesn't provide enough resistance to rebuild significant leg and hip strength. Walking is a maintenance activity, not a rebuilding one. To reverse this kind of decline, the muscle needs to be loaded against resistance, pushed to a point of real effort, not just repeated at a comfortable pace for 30 minutes a day. This is exactly why chair exercises for seniors have become the gold standard recommendation for improving balance after 60. They let you load the exact muscles responsible for your independence safely, without joint impact and without any risk of falling, since you're seated and supported the whole time. This is where I want to introduce the single most effective movement I've found for building strong legs after 60, the seated glute bridge march, sometimes called the anchored hip drive. One movement, but it does the work of several, because it trains your hip muscles, quadriceps, hip flexors, and core stabilizers all at once, without ever requiring you to stand up or risk a fall. Before I walk you through exactly how to do it, I want you to do something for me. Tell me your age and the country you're watching from in the comments below. Every comment helps build a community of people committed to staying strong and independent after 60, and I read every single one of them. If this is helping you, like this video, share it with someone who's started using the armrest a little more than they used to, and subscribe if you're new here. We release protocols like this every week. Now let's break down the movement itself, because the details matter enormously. Chair setup. Start with a sturdy seat that won't slide or roll. Sit near the front edge. Keep both feet flat on the floor, about hip width apart. Sit tall, with your shoulders relaxed. Place your hands lightly beside you for balance, not to push yourself up. The bridge now press through your heels and gently lift your hips just a few inches off the seat. Don't try to stand all the way up. Keep your chest tall and your core engaged. At the top, squeeze for 2 full seconds before moving on. You should feel the effort in your hips and upper legs, not sharp pain in your lower back. If your back is doing all the work, pause, reset your posture, and try again. The march. Without dropping your hips, slowly lift one knee. Hold for a moment. Lower it with control, then repeat with the other leg. Move at a steady pace. Stay balanced. Let the standing leg do the work. Eccentric lowering. Now lower yourself with a steady 3-second count. Don't drop into the seat. That slow lowering phase is where much of the strength building actually happens because your muscles stay engaged the entire time. Complete 4 to 6 marches per side, then repeat the full sequence for 3 rounds, resting 20 to 30 seconds between them. That's the entire protocol. No equipment, no standing unsupported. Just 5 to 7 minutes a day, and you're directly training the muscles responsible for whether you walk into a room confidently or need a hand to get there. If this already feels challenging, that's completely normal. It doesn't mean you're weak. It means these muscles are finally being asked to work again. I want to explain why this single movement outperforms isolated exercises like leg lifts or seated marches alone. Think about the last time you climbed a step or caught yourself after a small stumble. Your body didn't activate just one muscle, it activated several at once. That's exactly what this exercise trains. Most routines train muscles individually, one movement at a time, and hope those muscles somehow learn to cooperate later. This movement trains the coordinated chain your nervous system actually needs. In the sequence, it needs it. Here's something surprising. The goal isn't just stronger legs. It's giving your body a faster response when you lose your balance. Many people think falls happen only because muscles become weak. That's only part of the story. Often the real problem is that your muscles respond a fraction of a second too late, and that delay can be trained. Have you ever caught yourself before falling and wondered how that happened? That's exactly the reflex we're training here. The marching phase, where one leg stabilizes your full weight while the other moves, rehearses that exact stabilization response safely, seated, with zero risk every single day. I want to be honest here because I think you deserve honesty rather than empty motivation. This will feel harder than it looks the first time. If your muscles shake a little, don't panic. That's often a sign they're working harder than they're used to. Sharp pain is different, and that's when you should stop. You're not just building strength, you're teaching your body how to react faster. That's the difference. Consistency matters far more than intensity here. You don't need hour-long workouts. A few minutes 3 times a week done consistently will always beat an intense routine that lasts only a few days. Older muscle tissue loses strength gains faster when training stops, so the worst thing you can do is start strong for 1 week and then abandon it the moment you feel a little sore. If you're newer to movement or currently working with limited mobility, modify this significantly. Skip the hip lift at first and simply practice the marching motion alone, lifting the knee with control and lowering it slowly. Once that feels manageable for 10 repetitions per side, add the bridge back in. Progress isn't about rushing to the full version, it's about rebuilding trust in your own legs, one small success at a time. Let's bring this back to what actually matters, because I don't want this to get lost in the mechanics of the movement itself. This isn't about performing an exercise correctly for its own sake. It's about the version of your life that becomes possible when your legs can be trusted again. Getting up from a low chair without hesitation, playing on the floor with a grandchild and getting back up without help, catching yourself instead of falling when you misstep on a curb. These aren't small things. They're the entire difference between a life lived independently and a life lived cautiously, waiting for the next decline. Your body isn't simply getting old when it struggles to rise from a chair. It's responding, quite logically, to years of not being asked to produce force. The moment you start asking again, even in small, seated 5-minute increments, it begins to respond. Muscle tissue doesn't know your age, it only knows demand. Give it demand consistently and it will rebuild. Start today, 1 chair, 1 movement, 3 rounds. That's the entire barrier between where you are now and where your legs can take you.